What truly has a 0% chance of happening?
Scruncher don't fall regardless how sick it is.
Scrunching is just chaotic folding.
I don't know what it is, but it sounds like a danger to the mankind.
There are. Animal toilet paper up into a ball and wipe with it instead of folding it like a normal human being.
Why did you tell me this? Wait until you hear about the denizens that put the milk in first and give the toilet paper holder a mullet.
Am I supposed to be putting milk on my toilet paper?
How else do you eat it?
If you spill a chocolate milkshake on a shag carpet, would you gently fold a paper towel and casually wipe it up? No, you'd crumble the towels and scrub it. Crumblers unite. Clean crew.
My dad coming back.
He's just out.
Someone asking a good question on r/ask Reddit. Funny jokes on r/funny.
The dishes he procrastinated doing last night will be done when he wake up.
Someone could break into your home while you are asleep and then perhaps feel and do your dishes for you and then leave.
Breaks into your house. Does your dishes. Refuses to elaborate. Leaves.
I kind of did that, but my parents figured it out. My dad was with my mum in hospital due to lung failure. My mum realized then, she was gonna die. Upon this news I stripped her bedding, curtains and anything that had been damaged by smoke. Washed it all, dried it, packed it away. Put on new bedding, different curtains, detail cleaned her recliner and where she sat, removed all cigarette-related objects, cleaned them and packed them in the highest cupboard. Dad came home and thought they'd been robbed, but nothing was missing, all the windows were opened, airing out the house, then noticed the dishes were done. Every time I visit my parents I do their dishes, they're old plus it only takes 10 minutes. I want to do this, especially those whose environment has become a struggle because of depression or other illnesses.
Extreme OCD. I cannot sleep knowing there's an unclean house out there.
Sounds like a parent trying to scare their child into cleaning up, smiley face.
I didn't think of this when I must have subconsciously remembered this story because I've for sure seen it before. It happened not far from where I grew up.
George Washington running for re-election.
I notice you didn't mention JFK.
Well, JFK would be the holiest Catholic politician if he ran.
If a new person is born and named George Washington, then elected president.
I was waiting for this to come up. The new Washington would also have to win a second term to prove me wrong. But alas, it has seen that it could be more likely than JFK after all. Edit, run for, win.
As long as JFK remains an initial and not spelled out, the likelihood is well above 0%.
Creation of a perpetual motion machine.
In this household we obey the laws of thermodynamics.
There's something about flying a kite at night that awesome me.
Thermodynamics is fun.
The universe is so complex. My curse is to love science, especially the real complex stuff, but also to be too dumb to understand anything at a deeper level.
I understand the feeling. But I hope you understand that we all at some point to become a smart-ass.
Ask a simple question on a Friday night, and all the stoners hijack the thread with time travel theories. Marca de verificación negra works for me almohadilla ere.
How would you know if it did though? Current timeline you would either cease to existing was the way it was all along, depending which hypothetical theory you go by.
Back to the Future 3?
Locally, physicists have been able to return quantum objects to their past, essentially turning back time locally. So might not be a completely zero chance. Edit details.
But that's still their state within the present. Nothing in the past is being altered. Even if the universe was somehow returned to a previous quantum state, it's still not the past.
Quantum physics is weird to me, from an outsider perspective.
Watched enough quantum physics videos to know I don't know about quantum physics. Those were just the explaining it to non-physics people videos. There was one where a bunch of fancy physics people were talking together and one guy went on a 5-minute tirade about geometry-based quantum theory something and nothing out of his mouth was sense-making. Still, it's kind of fun to watch smart people try to break the underpinnings of reality, whether I know how they are doing it or not.
To be fair, from what I understand, the people that don't understand it the best really don't understand it very well either.
So tired of seeing the same unoriginal questions get recycled every few days. I did the math once. Roughly 3 questions are asked a minute, so 4,320 questions are asked a day. Each question only has about 7 minutes in new to get over 4 upvotes, otherwise they get buried. Upvotes are rare experience. For every 100 views, scrollovers, in AskReddit, you will get a vote. Assuming your post attracts enough people, it will then be featured in Rising. Now it has about 10 minutes to get 15 plus upvotes. Once it gets that many, it'll have around an hour in the lower ranks of how to get as many upvotes as it can. Upvotes determine how long a post can hover in the Rising or Hot section. 1 upvote early on equals 1 true upvote, which might extend a post's time in the sun by a few minutes. However, the value of each preceding upvote dwindles logarithmically. At some point 1 upvote from a Redditor is only counted as 1/3 of an upvote. Eventually, the law of diminishing returns makes an upvote useless. The Reddit algorithm punishes popular posts like this because it doesn't want news feeds to stale. Roughly 20 of the 4,320 questions asked daily make it to Hot a day. Because the competition is so fierce, your best bet is to ask questions that appeal to the broadest group of people. Instead of finding out what those questions are, you can recycle old questions with a clear history of appeal. Mature social media companies do not care for consumer novelty or satisfaction. These are factors that are hard to measure and optimize. Social media companies care about engagement. If people are willing to engage in vapid content, then that is good enough. A lot of people think that bots are responsible for all the bad questions. That's not true. Bots seek karma to provide them with legitimacy. AskReddit questions do not generate account karma. There's no reason for a bot to spam questions, especially questions that could get them banned. Actual Redditors are repeating questions, probably because they like them. Only repeated cooking tip is just completely wrong.
Starting to saute onion and garlic at the same time. Onion takes a lot longer to cook and adding the garlic too early can burn it, which can ruin the entire flavor of the dish. So many recipes tell you to do this and I just don't get it.
Yes. Just figured this out. Because I'd learn early on, add the veggies that take the longest to cook to the pan first, but because I'd been ingrained to cook garlic and onion at the same time for so long, I didn't even think how garlic takes like 30 seconds to cook whereas onion takes on the order of minutes to cook.
If your garlic is in large enough pieces and your heat is fine to do, but yeah, you don't want to drop a bunch of crushed garlic into spitting hot oil and then cook it for 5 minutes. That is how you get garbage food.
As long as you make sure to not burn the garlic, the moisture from adding the onions prevents the garlic from burning. Obviously you have to keep an eye on it and move down in the pan, but I've very rarely had garlic burn after putting in the onion. I've had people tell me the way I do it is wrong, but when I cook it for them without burning anything they usually calm down.
To me it depends on how the onions are cut. Thicker onion slices that are going to take a long time to cook? I hold off on the garlics. Stirring usually pushes the small garlic pieces to the bottom. If the onion is finely chopped, it's usually okay to put the garlic in sooner.
I had cooking class at my high school and the teacher told me and my classmates start from the hardest to the softest type of food when you're cooking. I never learned that from experience. In my defense, I don't cook as much. My mom kicks me out of the kitchen because other people leave a big mess.
A great way to carbonize your garlic as your onion begins to soften. Timing of when you add garlic changes. Add it too early to a dish and you run the risk of not retaining much garlic flavor.
Yeah. I think you're supposed to put the garlic in the last few minutes.
Myth: high heat is like fast forward for cooking. Still working to get my dad to understand this one.
What instantly?
When they murder 1,000 henchmen without showing a sign of remorse but then don't kill the person who caused all the problems because suddenly morals.
And every one of the henchmen instantly die from a single sword slice, bullet, or arrow, while the main characters can be riddled with mortal wounds and still fight like nothing even happened to them.
There's always that one Inkman who gets punched in the arm and doesn't get up for the rest of the movie. Either it just had a heart attack or it simply knows better.
When a character jumps to conclusions after overhearing something without full context, plot device to push the story forward. It's so lazy and uncreative.
And the other character yells I can explain, and then just doesn't.
We don't have time. Proper response, yes we fucking do. But instead, they keep their mouths shut and waste a shit on more time doing it that could have easily been explained and avoided.
No time to explain as they get into a car and the camera cuts to them arriving at the destination. Just sat quietly in the car the whole time.
We are here now, let me explain. Thank God you are talking again. You were during our 30-minute drive. What the fuck was that?
The only exception is if they have a jump to conclusions, Matt.
That is a terrible idea. No one would buy that.
Well, people thought the pet rock was a bad idea. It made $1 million.
This is my biggest issue. That people not explaining things that could be explained in like 2 sentences because there isn't enough time. I'll explain later, trust me. Bad things a greater than he occur because Schrader didn't explain. Explanation seen as 1 sentence. Underscore. It's just infuriating watching this kind of unnecessary drama creator / plot drama. The biggest issue I've seen with this recently was pieces of her. Like 90% of the sure wouldn't have occurred if the mom just told the daughter what was up, which she had plenty of time to do.
When action sequences have so many cuts it might as well be a slideshow.
I was expecting that to be Liam Neeson jumping over it.
Same here. That video deserves to be posted.
Anything that treats the audience like morons, making me embarrassed to watch.
Lazy exposition. Lifetime / Hallmark movies are especially guilty of this. It drives me nuts when a movie slams the entire exposition 5 seconds dialogue directly after opening credits. For example, honey, I am so proud that you are the CEO of your own company. I can't wait to go back home to meet your family for Christmas. I hope they like me.
First 2 minutes of a movie. Little girl, hey, no fair, you get to drive. Boy, you'll get to drive when you're 16 like me. Little girl, but I'm only 8. That's so long away. Hey, you were 8 when mom died, right? Do you remember her at all? I don't. Teenage boy, yeah, but that's because she died giving birth to you. I remember her all right. She used to sing to me at night. She was so beautiful. Dad says you look like her. Little girl, I do? Wow. I wish Dad would tell me about Mum. Teenage boy, and I wish I didn't have to drive a little pest like you to school every day. Little girl, hey, I'm not a pest. Teenage boy, come on little sis, we're going to be late for school. Little girl, coming big brother.
When Francine is talking to her sister Gwen on the phone in American Dad. What? I've never called you sis before? You're right. It is weirdly clunky and expositional. I mean, I know you're my sister, so who am I? Weird.
But my husband has left me and now I no longer have any room for love, and if some rebellious and poor yet unbelievably attractive boy from a small town who lives with his family comes through that door, I will reject him as love means nothing to me and I'm too busy with CEO stuff.
In your face, obvious product placement.
Michael Bay waves a big hello.
Cuts to Mark Wahlberg cracking open a Bud Light on a car door in the middle of a firefight.
Worst case of this has to be iRobot. Set in the future, Will Smith is super excited to open a pack of retro sneakers that just so happened to have been released exactly at the time the